In the last part, Lloyd saved 23 million people in recent incidents. The system informs him that as he has saved more than 20 million destinies, a new currency, DP, is now used as a representation of the rescued destinies. Also, if he had 50 million DP, he could acquire a powerful skill capable of seeing beyond the ending spoiler. Therefore, Lloyd was bestowed to wield the ultimate power of the world. Lloyd is confused and thinks of it. The system further tells him that this ability can be only used for 30 seconds, but there is a catch: if he ever uses this skill, he will not be able to get any support provided by the messenger. This also meant that he couldn't use skills obtained through RP, or from seeing the ending spoiled. Lloyd was disappointed when he heard this, as he would really miss the abilities the system gave to him. Out of nowhere, Count Ventura calls Lloyd and thanks him, as due to him the kingdom of Magentano and Asfahan had forged a peace treaty. Count Ventura bows in front of him and apologizes as he underestimated him during the trip. Lloyd stops it and tells him not to show him any respect, as he is just an ordinary peasant. Count Ventura knew that Lloyd wanted to hide the fact that he was the one who made it possible, but he didn't want to stand out. But the Count told him that it was useless to hide it, as Her Majesty had some work for him, and he was ordered to leave for the royal capital. Lloyd knew that he had to use his trump card now, or else the Queen will make a slave of him. Lloyd made a sick face and started to act as if he was sick, and told the Count that he was unwell and was soon going to leave for Asfahan for a vacation. But the Count still insisted that the Queen ordered him to see her. Lloyd was shocked, as his trump card was ignored, and he remembers the day when the Queen grabbed his face and asked him if he was a selfish and heartless guy. So Lloyd had no choice but to get on the cart and go to the royal capital to meet Her Majesty. With an unpleasant face, Lloyd walked through the corridor and was now in front of the Queen. The Queen tells him that she was really happy that Lloyd came running to meet her, and tells him that she thought if ever he had ignored her call, she would have personally come to meet him, but with a broken heart. The Queen tells him that if he had escaped to Asfahan, she would feel lonely and heartbroken, and the Queen glared at him. Lloyd uses his skills and get out of this situation and asks for her command. Lloyd knew that he was not the same, as he had his ties with Asfahan, due to which he had a chance to engage in a fair negotiation, and finally, he would be not used as a slave. The Queen gets up and tells Lloyd that she has something to show him. We see Lloyd was stunned as he saw a huge dragon skeleton. The Queen tells her that she discovered it while attacking the Dark Mage's castle. Also, she tells him that this skeleton must have been used for some kind of ritual. Lloyd remembers from the novel he read in his past life, due to which he knew that this skeleton could be used to create all sorts of magical artifacts. The Queen tells him that she has a plan, and orders him to build a statue of the dragon in the Grand Garden, as she wants to show the mighty strength of the Magentano Empire to the outside world. Lloyd accepts the order and tells her that he will make sure that he will ensure that this will be a great success. Lloyd bowed before her and told her that he would not take any construction fees for this project. The Queen knew that Lloyd was up to something. Lloyd, with an innocent face, tells her that he wants a 10-year exemption from labor work instead. The Queen was really pissed, as if she was going to kill him. Lloyd knew that he had to switch it before he fell the rope, so he told her that if this was too much, then he wanted a single bone of dragon tail as compensation. The Queen hits him on his head, which confuses him. The Queen then quickly changes her mood and tells him that she will offer him a medallion of enlightenment. Also, he can have a tailbone from the dragon, but he should replace it with a suitable substitute. Lloyd is happy and bows down in front of her and tells her that he will gladly accept the medallion, but also he asks her to step on him, to which the Queen is disgusted and orders him to leave the room immediately. Lloyd knew that he would get a huge reward, but still, he won't be exploited. The next day, we see Nort, the garden specialist, meets Lloyd and introduces himself to Lloyd. Nort's first impression of Lloyd was that he was just a novice, which made him think highly of himself. But still, Nort tells Lloyd that he will be working with him together. Lloyd made a shocked face and bowed in front of telling him that he could not work with him, as he was just an inexperienced novice like him. Lloyd tells him that he wants to learn from him. Nort was confused, but soon he was flustered. The next day, Nort showed him the complete design of the garden. Lloyd appreciated his work, which made him more flustered than ever. Finally, Lloyd was able to manipulate him into doing all the work by himself, and the rest of the time Lloyd would chill and enjoy his free time. That night, in the castle, we see the skeleton of the dragon. Out of nowhere, the eye of the dragon started to glow, and we saw some entity announce that he was going to kill the Queen soon. The next day, we see Nort and Lloyd surveying the land, and Lloyd notices that Nort is really passionate while doing his work. And Lloyd now finally knows that he was really lucky, and now it was his time to make a new slave. Nord tells him that he is going to a meeting and tells Lloyd that he can just sit around and get to learn how they work. Lloyd bows down and accepts and makes him feel high and mighty. Lloyd knew that he was not just going to sit around, and we saw all the summons who were ready for something. Lloyd raised his hand and announced that they were now going to play. And there's the start of the new story. We see a wild Bibiang has appeared. Lloyd uses his Pokemon, Pikachu, and attacks Bibiang using Thunderbolt, which deals a significant amount of damage to him. As Lloyd saw the damage, he threw the Paimon ball to catch the wild Bibiang. But the story takes a twist as Pikachu rebelled against him, which made Lloyd get on his knees. And we see that Lloyd was really happy as he was having a fun time after such a long time. But out of nowhere, we see Javier interfere in the game. And Javier tells him that the queen is here. Lloyd was shocked hearing this, and instantly he put down a table and some paperwork. And as the queen reached there, Lloyd was pretending to work hard. Lloyd makes an innocent face and instantly kneels before the queen and pays his respects to her. But the queen knew that he was faking all of this. The queen then asked him if he was just playing around, wasn't he? Lloyd knew that he might get in some trouble. The queen tells Lloyd that Viscount Nord has come to visit her. Lloyd was sweating as he thought that Nord had snitched on him. And we see Nord tell the queen that he had built a dragon statue, made of bones in front of her old statue in the middle of the garden, and there was also a boating experience to see and appreciate the statue. But because of the difference in water level between the start and end points, the speed was too fast. And so, Nord was there to get a solution from the queen. The queen didn't have any solution, so she asked him if he wanted to abolish the idea. Nord tells her that Lloyd has given a solution, and starts to explain his idea. First, they have to create a step before the starting point, and install a valve door at the end of that step. Once the boat is in, they have to close the rear valve door and lower the water level by removing water. After the water level is the same, then they have to open to front valve door and allow the boat to depart. Nord tells the queen that before this problem, they were facing multiple problems, but with his help, they tackled each of them. But Lloyd did not take any of the credit, and so Nord starts to praise his wisdom, and tells the queen that Lloyd has already given up his desire to just play around while gaining problems, and is putting a lot of effort to aid the construction. And we see, Lloyd is still kneeling hard in front of the queen as he thinks that he is about to be labeled as a traitor. The queen orders him to raise his head and lower his ass off his before she kicked it. Lloyd was skeptical of it, and the queen stared at him, and soon broke the silence by praising Lloyd for his work and telling him to keep up the good work. Lloyd was confused and didn't know what to say, and soon the queen left for the palace. Lloyd looks at Javier with an evil face and tells him that the queen was clueless about what was he doing before she came there. Soon autumn passed by and winter was covered everywhere with snow. The massive garden's construction continued without end. Also, Lloyd continued his games without any rest. Then spring came, and the garden was completed with its magnificent highlight. And for this great construction, there was a banquet arranged to celebrate where many people from other countries were invited to witness the glory of the Magentano country. Lloyd was also enjoying the banquet, and he saw that Javier was not eating anything. So, he asked him why was he looking so gloomy. Javier told him that Lloyd was really unlucky, which instantly infuriated Lloyd, and they started to argue. Javier tells him that whenever they had a banquet, a huge incident has always taken place. And starts to tease Lloyd and tells him if something happened again, then it's confirmed that he was really unlucky. As they were arguing, there was a huge commotion as the head of the dragon broke and fell down. The queen was shocked and Lloyd was confused as this was impossible. He tried everything using his simulation skill. Javier tells Lloyd that he has to run away. Javier has an intense face which makes Lloyd even more confused. And we see dark mana coming out of the skeleton, which made a huge mana tornado, and soon the skull of the dragon was attached back to its body. And it is revealed that right before the queen killed the black mage Targa, he transferred his soul into the skeleton and was waiting for the right moment to take down the Magentano kingdom. The dragon had an unbelievable amount of dark mana from it. The dragon then gives out a huge roar and smashes the statue of the queen before him. The dragon then starts to look at the queen and pounces upon her. The queen draws her aura sword and tells everyone to evacuate this place at once, as she knows that the monster is a sword master level threat. The queen swung her sword and launched an attack, but the dragon counters it and sends everyone flying. Targa was still not using his full power as he was still not used to this body, but it didn't matter now as he was so powerful that he could just sweep people like ants. The dragon then gave out a huge roar and spread out its wings. The queen knew that the monster was too strong to beat using only brute strength, so she started to call out for Lloyd, but she was dumbfounded as she saw Lloyd running away from the dragon. And so now she calls out for Javier, as she thinks he will assist her in defeating this monster. But she was once again disappointed as she saw Javier was also running away from the dragon. Both of them run through the obstacles, and Javier tells Lloyd that if they keep running he will not be able to get paid for the work he did. Lloyd was having a hard time running away and disses Javier, as he was acting just like a money-obsessed lunatic. Javier was confused as he was not like that, so he stopped and told Lloyd that he had to kill that thing before it eradicated this country from the map, as thins would ultimately mean that Frontera County would suffer. But Lloyd continued running away and told Javier that the dragon was too powerful for him to handle. But Javier is too focused on saving the country and tells Lloyd to run away. The dragon charged a mana attack and started to Kamehameha the whole garden. The queen dodged the attack, but she dealt damage from the attack. The dragon once more attacked the queen and was about to connect its attack, but Javier used his aura discharge to change the trajectory of the attack, ultimately saving the queen. The dragon was super pissed and started attacking Javier, but Javier cautiously dodged all the attacks, as the attacks were so deadly that they punched a hole through the sky. And now the queen and Javier launched consecutive attacks, but the target was slowly able to get a hold of the new body. This time he spread his wings and started to fly, which made Javier and the queen more panicked. The dragon then started to bombard the land using the mana blasts, and both of them had no other option but to run away. And we see, Lloyd was holding Bibiang and was ready to take on the dragon. Lloyd was flying above the dragon. With the help of Goming from there he threw Bibiang and attacked the dragon using the megaton press. The dragon was brought to the ground due to this sudden attack. Lloyd quickly rushed and picked both of them. The dragon was confused as he was not able to know who attacked him. As Lloyd was flying above the dragon, he ordered Goming to launch another attack shit bombardment, but he was too embarrassed to do so as everyone was watching him. But Padong gave some words of encouragement to him and tells him to start shitting. And so Goming launched his attack, which hit the bull's eye. The dragon was confused at first, but soon he knew what just happened, which enraged him even more. The queen asks Lloyd if he has any plans. Lloyd tells her that he doesn't have anything planned, as they will have to go all or nothing. And soon they flew above the clouds, but still, the huge dragon followed them. Lloyd knew that this monster was too much for them to handle, so he had to go to someone even more powerful who could defeat this monster, and ordered Goming to take them to the Dragon King. Lloyd asked the queen where is Gapel, as he knows from the novel that the Dragon King stays in that area. The queen tells him that it will take around a day to reach, even if they continue at this speed. And now Lloyd knows that they are in big trouble. The dragon was about to swallow them, but Goming evaded the attack. Lloyd was now even more worried as the dragon was way faster than earlier. Javier asks Lloyd if they will find a solution to defeat this monster if they reach Gapel. Lloyd assures him and tells him that they can, but first they have to reach there. Javier drew out his aura sword and used the aura blast and was able to put a hole in its wing, which slowed down the monster. Lloyd praises Javier and tells him to keep it up. Javier now launched a barrage of aura blasts, but it was not enough. Lloyd called out for the queen by her real name and asked her to lend him her sword. The queen was shocked and hesitantly lent him her sword. Lloyd tells Javier that they have to attack at the same time so that it will be unable to dodge. Lloyd makes a devilish face and uses the sword to launch a mana blast, and both of their attacks are able to hit the dragon, but the attack is reflected away. Lloyd was confused and knew that the dragon was getting even more strong. Out of nowhere, Lloyd was pulled back and we see the queen tell Javier to lift Lloyd's upper body. Lloyd was confused as he didn't know what was going to happen to him. The dragon soon caught up to them, which scared the heavens out of them. The queen charged her hands with mana and ordered Lloyd to shout as she beat him. As she hit him, Lloyd was so much in pain that Lloyd's face turned into something that the dragon was shocked and started to back off. The queen praised Lloyd for having such a useful face for times like this. Lloyd was depressed and his eyes started to tear up. The dragon thinks of it and comes to know that Lloyd was the one who saved Magentano from his evil plots. The dragon started to speed up and got ready to kill both the queen and Lloyd at once. The queen started to pummel Lloyd from behind, and Lloyd once again made the hellish face, but it didn't work as the dragon has now covered his eyes with mana. Javier tells the queen to cover her ears as they are now going to use the screams of hell, that is Lloyd singing. And then Lloyd starts to sing a song. But the dragon was already ready as it covered its ears. The queen and Javier throw Lloyd as his face is of no use now. Lloyd knew that his plan of reaching the Dragon King was impossible as the dragon was too fast and was going to catch up to them any moment. Lloyd thinks for a while and tries to think of any weakness and remembers when the Queen permitted him to take the tailbone of the dragon, and when he took it he replaced it with graphite. And now Lloyd finally knows the weakness this monster has. As they flew away, the dragon was soon about to catch up to them once more as the dragon was getting stronger moment by moment. In an instant the dragon was about to swallow them. Lloyd ordered Goming to use spiderweb flares to avoid getting swallowed. Goming used the spiderwebs and dodged the attack, but the dragon was too strong and freed itself from the spiderwebs. But as he moved forward he was confused as he was unable to find them. Out of nowhere, we see Goming flying above the dragon's field of vision, and soon the Queen and Javier jump for a surprise attack and Lloyd instructs them to attack the fourth tailbone from the pelvis. Javier used his aura blast and his attack reached the fourth tailbone. The fake tailbone was made from granite but was still strengthened by the dragon's power, but both Javier and the Queen were on Sword Master level so they could be able to destroy it. The Queen calls out Lloyd and asks him why he lied and tells her that he was going to use the bones of an emperor whale to replace the real one. Lloyd asks for her forgiveness and asks her to finish the job. The Queen uses her aura sword and finally destroys the tailbone. Lloyd clenched his fist and announced their victory as the dragon fell down. Due to this the dragon lost its balance and fell on the ground. The dragon tried to get back up on its feet but struggled as he was missing his tail. Out of nowhere, Padong jumps on the dragon and holds it down. And soon Loud and the Queen landed on the ground. Lloyd uses his maximum output blast but misses it. Javier drew his aura sword and attacked the dragon. Lloyd uses the supercharge ability and starts to consume the evil mana. Both Javier and Lloyd used their maximum potential and the system informed Lloyd that his mana skill had leveled up, and his ability to purify the poisonous mana of the undead had grown exponentially. Due to this, he acquired a new skill. Now, the dragons that he will encounter in the future will be interested in him. The Queen too joins in and attacks the dragon. The dragon growled in pain and Lloyd knew that this was working on it. As they were using all their strength on the dragon, Javier saw the tail of the dragon was about to fall on the ground and was going to hit Lloyd. Javier shouted his name but Lloyd was unaware of it. Javier jumped in and took all the damage due to which he was swept away in the forest and fell into a water body. Javier is unconscious and starts to sink into the lake. Here, the dragon took the upper hand and started to oppose them. The dragon used his ability and was able to connect back to its tail. The dragon was about to crush Lloyd, but Lloyd was unable to move as he was still in shock as he thought Javier was dead. The Queen jumps in and saves Lloyd just in time. The Queen yells at him and tells him to pull himself together as they have to find a way to save Javier, as without him the kingdom will fall apart. Lloyd was not in the right mind as he knew that Javier's mana disappeared in an instant, and Lloyd didn't have the ability to heal from that. On the other hand, Javier was sinking into the depths of the lake but still, he had only one thought in his mind, that was he wanted to save his master at any cost. Javier was trying to gather all the mana in his body but was unsuccessful as he was out of mana and continued to sink in the water helplessly. The Queen piggybacked Lloyd and started to run away from the dragon. Lloyd was still depressed as he could have used the ending spoiler so he could have prepared for all of this. Lloyd closes his eyes as he tries to find a way to save Javier, and soon he comes up with an idea. Lloyd asks the Queen to let him jump off her back. The Queen is a little hesitant at first, but she throws him with force, and soon we see Lloyd reach to save Javier. Javier grabs his hand and Lloyd starts to give away a part of his mana to Javier so he can survive. And Javier starts to accept the mana from him. Here the dragon starts to prepare an attack and is about to attack the Queen, but out of nowhere Padong jumps in and attacks the dragon, due to which the attack is diverted away from the Queen in the lake. Javier was trying hard to absorb the mana from Lloyd, but something was not right with it. As Javier absorbed it, he was sure that it was not even mana, it was something else, something otherworldly. Javier gets some of the mana in his system, but he is unable to control it. Here, all the summons try to stop the dragon but are unsuccessful. The Queen jumps in and is about to strike the dragon, but something happens to her. Once more her eye becomes all red, due to which she was distracted. The dragon attacks the Queen and throws her away. Javier becomes unconscious and is about to give up as Lloyd's mana is not something he cannot understand. Javier slightly opens his eyes to see Lloyd one last time, but as he sees Lloyd's pufferfish demon face he is terrified for his life, which triggers a chain reaction in his mana and ripples start to occur inside Javier. The system informs Lloyd that after seeing his demonic faces, Javier has come to understand what's outside of casualty, which enabled him to control the mana from the other world that he absorbed from Lloyd. Due to this, Javier's body has ignored some parts of causality. The queen was about to fall to the ground but was saved by Goming. All the summons were facing the dragon and were terrified as the queen was unconscious. The dragon charged another mana attack and was ready to kill all of them. The system informed Lloyd that every cell in Javier's body was now functioning as a mana heart. And we see beautiful feathers coming out of Javier's body. The dragon paused his attack as he was in shock to see Lloyd and Javier were there to confront the dragon. Javier was looking really calm as he held Lloyd, who was spitting out all the water. The dragon was shocked as he was not able to see Javier coming here, but still, he suddenly appeared in front of it. Javier drops Lloyd and swings his aura sword. The dragon was confused as Javier attacked him, but everything was stuck in time. Soon lightning-fast strikes occurred, but soon more and more of them occurred, cutting down the dragon in small pieces. As Lloyd got up, he saw the pieces of the dragon falling down, loud. Knew that Javier had finally become the strongest human being that was mentioned in the novel. Javier was now at a level higher than the sword master. He was now a grandmaster. Lloyd looks at Javier and tells him that he will be in charge of all the cutting tasks from now on. Javier was agitated, but still, he was happy to see Lloyd once again. All the summons were also really happy to see Lloyd and started to cry as they hugged him. The queen was also fine. The system informs Lloyd that the number of fates he has changed is now a full 31 million. The system tells Lloyd that the number of lives he saved is less compared to this number. The system explained Lloyd and gave him an example. Suppose among the people that he saved, one created a sturdy business. The jobs that are created at that person's business would have saved a family that would have starved to death, and from there it starts a chain reaction. The chain of effects from all of these has been taken into consideration and added to him as DP. But, still, Lloyd was not happy as he wanted to convert DP into gold, but the system denied it. Javier calls Lloyd and tells him that the bone dragon is going to resurrect again if he doesn't do something about it. And soon the bones started to move. Lloyd had a smirk on his face as he knew that he had one more trump card on him, and made an evil face. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching.